in Wonderland. First and foremost, I do not want any smoke. I mean, I don't anticipate a lot of views, but I know how y'all like to tussle. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not really here for all of that. I just listened to a couple of videos on BGS's channel. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what that was about, but he crossed my mind. His platform crossed my mind. So I just dipped in there really quickly and I listened to some stuff. These two videos that you should be able to see here, a question from Master Yao and a disposable class. But I really want to talk about a disposable class. I also watched something on here about that JSU and Deion Sanders thing. I mean, there's so many points of view on here that I just disagree with. But let me really hone in on a disposable class because that particular one, um, that's the one that had me like really wanting to comment. Pardon the traffic if you can hear it. So, BGS ought to be ashamed. I mean, for one, I really don't like it when I don't see any progress. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been a long time since I've listened to any of the content on this particular channel. And mm, when somebody believes that their point of view is the only point of view that is correct, and it's very staunch and immovable, that always to me is an indication of some sort of ego involved or some sort of arrogance involved. So I just take a step back. So for me, I felt like no time had passed from whenever I stopped listening to the content and then coming back now in 2023, and listening to this stuff. It's like Groundhog Day. We're still blaming, black women, and we're still, oh, you know what? Another one that I listened to was about stepfathers. So I want to touch on that, and I will touch on that when I get into the video about a disposable class. But his talking points are still the same, okay? And I mean, obviously, I think in his mind, they should be the same because he is correct. And there's no progress to be made when people don't want to consider other points of view. That's just how I feel. Like, what is this really about? Is it about progress? Is it about an attempt toward progress? Or is this just about putting out this content that, generates some source of income for the person creating the content and just creating like their own preaching to the choir sort of, you know, mm, platform so they can just commiserate with one another and nobody changes, nobody moves forward to be happy. Because I'm going to say this, you don't sound happy. Like, I'm not really actually trying to talk to this person personally, but the vibration, it's just not like a positive one. In one of the videos, I think it was a disposable class, it may or may not have been, but he did make mention about the black manosphere being considered by others to be like a low tier type of um, atmosphere on YouTube. And I agree. Like, not just Black Manosphere, but like, just Black YouTube in general, or these places in general. And it's not because it's Black, it's just because of again, the frequency, like the vibe of it. There's other places, race does not matter. Race does not matter. There's other places that are just as, negative and don't, just feel energetically draining. So, it's just the truth. I can feel it because I left and I came back out of my own weirdo curiosities, and I just feel like the energy just draining from me. Like, this is so not it, you know? So anyway, if you don't ever leave the sector, then you might not know. You really might not. But honestly, the energy that y'all are feeding off of is very low vibe. It's not like inspiring. It's not inspiring. Okay? But anyway, so he sampled a video that Yvette Carnell had done. So that was fun because it was like, I'm checking in on his content, and then through that I ended up checking on hers as well. And again, it's like the same vibe too. Like, nothing has changed. Okay, so we're just going to keep beating this horse. We're not going to expand, you know. From expansion comes growth, comes good fortune. If you stay in the same spot, then you're just going to stay stagnant. I can't like stress it enough. Like, I'm not some super uber enlightened being. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, okay? When it comes to like this black community stuff, I don't have all the answers. I don't have any answers. My answers are for me and my life, and and the lives that I see around me, which, just has to do more with tapping into your source, being divinely inspired, and not allowing like your ego to just take over to the point where you don't allow any other opportunities in because you're so busy trauma responding and trying to protect yourself anyway. So Yvette Carnell is talking about, black men and their high incarceration rates. None of this is untrue, by the way. None of this is untrue. So what's my point? Like, the point is, BGS's talking points as far as acting as though, um, black women don't care about black men, and how black women have been not caring about black men. It's absolutely insane to me that on one end, these types of men can try to make light about how they perceive black women as, desperately wanting to be married, desperately wanting someone to take care of their children, desperately needing black men, and then at the same time turn around and say that black women don't care about black men. So I think for him and people like him, it's a justifiable position because he believes that black women are just selfish, like generally speaking, that black women are just selfish, and they simply just want to utilize black men for their own purposes, but they don't actually care about black men. But he made mention that black women are putting this in their content. They're stating how much they don't care and how disposable they feel that men are. Now, look, I just want to make this really clear because BGS is familiar with, my old ancient content. And I definitely discussed the idea of black male disposability and that was a problem among certain people. So don't get me wrong, it's not like these things are invisible to me, but that's not like the overarching community. And that's my issue. That's my issue with a lot of the stuff I see in this sector, the stuff that I've seen in the past and probably is still out here in the future. And that's why I have an issue with not being flexible in the ways that we want to communicate your points of view and not wanting to, reach across the table on both sides. The males that generate this type of content and the females that do too. Because when they get into like the high value blah 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 and the hypergamy blah blah blah, yes, a lot of it is definitely giving disposability 100%. But if you are really honest, this is a very small percentage people contributing this type of content as well as people listening to it. Now, if you leave the content out here and you allow it to grow and you allow the algorithm to do what it does, then yes, it can expand and it can infiltrate a lot of people's minds. And that's what I think, on both sides, whether you're a female or a male contributing to this type of very divisive content, is what are you, what kind of energy are you serving? And what do you wish to accomplish? Because on one end, you want to say that black women find black men disposable. That is the energy you're serving, that you're putting out there, that you want to enter into impressionable people's minds, because it is impressionable people that it's going to penetrate. And I really, really, really believe that, like, I'm tempted to believe that somebody like BGS and a lot of these people, they don't even put um any restrictions on their content. Like, they don't even say that their content is only for adults. They probably allow their content to be found by children, underage young men, and underage young women whose brains haven't even fully formed, who are like the epitome, the embodiment of impressionable. You want them to you want to grow the type of mindset that black women think that black men are disposable, and that black women believe that black men are disposable. You want to put those kinds of conversations in these people's minds. But in addition to that, there was also like this video called the Stepdaddy Union or Stepfathers Union or something like that, where BGS was saying in one of his like think tanks, and he took a clip from it and thought it was like gold content, so he wanted to make a whole separate video just to get this message across, which is that black men, ADOS black men, are the best stepfathers, like, I don't know, the best stepfathers ever, the best stepfathers in the world, something like that. And that because they're the best stepfathers, that they should give their services up to the highest bidder. And specifically, if you're wondering what does that mean, well, he specifically said, why why be a stepfather to Lakeisha's children when you could be a stepfather to Becky's children or an Asian woman's children? He literally made it into a racial issue because those women make more money. They have a higher earning potential, so that he could continue to not make any money, not increase in his, earning potential, and live under her as some sort of butler, nanny, babysitter, buck dick provider, for hire, for a price. That's not disposable. Is that not also a level of black male disposability? But it's okay because they're living off of a different race of woman, because they're living comfortably. And this is what I'm saying. Are there even like restrictions for who can hear this type of content? Do you want your, 12-year-old child to hear that? Do you want your 17-year-old child to hear that? Like, this is toxic type of information, and the idea that this is like a um outside of the box free thinking black man with a perspective that's supposed to enlighten black men and save them and help them. So in the video called A Disposable Class, he goes on to mention that black women don't talk about helping black boys, as far as like, he goes into several examples. So one of them was like tutoring, education, academics. But it's just odd because on one hand you're saying like black women don't care, and black women don't care about black boys. They don't care about their academics and their scholarship. But on the other end, you're saying that black men should leave the community to take care of Asian and white children. So I don't know, it's kind of giving to me that black men ought not care about black children. Am I I'm not missing anything. And I'm not missing anything. These are the talking points. These are the things that were said. So if you want out, if you don't want to be part of the conversation anymore, if you don't want to be part of the solution anymore, then just say that, which I do believe that is being said. Many times it's continuously being said. And I mean, this is like, for me, the woman versus man thing. Everybody is so staunchly attached to their talking points that there's no real like conversation to be had. So I'm not saying, oh, the women are right and the men are wrong. The men are right and the women are wrong. Ugh, come on, spare me. Everyone is responsible for the content they're putting out there and the ways that they contribute. Everyone is responsible for the energy that they contribute. Yeah, there was just some things where it wasn't like making any sense whatsoever, and it's just kind of hate filled. Like, I'm angry about whatever I'm angry about, and I'm going to take it out on everybody. But the people that you're hurting are the people that look like you. And those people are not going to stop being born. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you're past, the ideas of race, but I would doubt it because all of your content is about race. Oh, yeah, so let me get into this video, the one about a question for Master Yao, where I guess the question was asked, why have selves, and because typically a lot of the things that they say are in response to something else, or has to do with the residual effects of the situation that they've been put in, not necessarily them having a completely originating stance on anything. And I completely agree with that, actually. And it was like, well, we have done that. Like, no, I'm sorry. Let me be clear. BGS's argument and those in the comments section, it appeared, agreed. His position is that black men have done that. It's completely not true. No, they have not. I mean, there's there's nothing innovative about black male perspective. Mm. It's like when you say things like this, I feel like people feel the need to protect themselves, so they want to be defensive, but the truth is they really haven't. And that's just something that should be observed. It should be, deconstructed so that we can start to turn the corner. Like, I mean, I can't turn the corner on that. I'm not a black male, so I can't turn the corner on that for anybody. But if black men like this want to be so defensive, they'll never be able to answer these questions or make any progress either. I would say like the more progressive thinking people, um, mm, that's not really fair to say, but it feels it feels fair. The more progressive leaning people have their they've started to have these conversations. I will not say that they've actually, created innovative, stances as black men. Like, I wouldn't say that. A lot of times I say that because a lot of times the conservative leaning black men, they just seem to be copying, you know, white patriarchy, which is another thing. I don't understand how any of these types of black men can talk about black male disposability without also centering themselves and their participation in it. The lack of ownership is astounding, especially cumulatively. Like, after all these years, all we have is all these years. There's still no ownership. It's still somebody else's fault, and yet there's like some kind of air of insult when people outside of black males want to set a standard and put it on black males. The only standard I could hear was in this stepdaddy argument, which was essentially pimping. I think that's probably been the only aspect, the only kind of stance that black men have made in terms of like who they want to be, that is, to me, is still it's still a residual effect of like slavery and white patriarchy. But the thing is, like, until black men actually create subculture and systems and networks, it's not like I never said any of that before, but it's cool. Until they actually create that, not talk about it, they create it, and it's not like a sector of media created by other people. Like, until you actually own the thing and it functions, it has to function. Until you do that, it's not yours. It's not yours. And for me, like, I'm just like a middle-aged lady out here. I don't even care. I don't care. I have surrendered the outcome. It's cool. Black men don't have to get this right in my lifetime for me to, be cool with black men. Like, it's it's not a big deal. It's all right. It's cool. Like, I say that to say, like, this is not me getting at black men. Like, I don't even care, bro. Don't do it. Don't don't pour into your community. Don't take care of your children or anybody else's that look like yours. If you could somehow be mistaken as the dad, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you were out with these kids, you're getting your stepdaddy on, and you're out with your stepchildren, and you could somehow be mistaken as the dad because you look like them phenotypically, continue to not participate in that. Don't be a stepdad to black children. Don't own anything. Don't create networks. Don't create systems. Don't do it. Like, I mean, whatever. Whatever. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, one thing I wanted to say was just like, what in the utter bullshit that black women don't care. Like, black women be out here in the front lines protesting and doing the most in black men's interests. And that's literally the type of content that a lot of these black women, these like divestors, are like, stop doing that. Stop doing that, black women. And it's like, how can you not know that? Like, how can you participate in that sector and not know that there are black women opposing the idea of black women stepping up and trying to help black men. And they're opposing it because it's happening, because black women do support black men. And you're just going to pretend that that doesn't exist just to make these extremely toxic talking points. Now, as far as like the mass incarceration and the problems with the education system and things of that nature, oh yeah, it's also very true. However, black men have to participate. How the fuck can you participate in changing any of these things when you're out there being stepdaddy to Asian women and white women so you can get the bag? How can you abandon your own people and then say that you care about whether or not your boys and young men are disposable? Like, I don't know. It's giving projection. It's giving utter bullshit. And to me, it's like if this one dude and like the couple of thousands of people that listen to him want to think that way, it's fine. But to contribute to spewing out this type of content and just leaving it out there to grow into this energy is just to me so utterly irresponsible, because at the end of the day, I feel as though there's no way in hell that you don't know how disingenuous you are. Like, I mean, on one end, I'm like, go ahead and believe that if you want to. You're not the only person who's ever been wrong. But at the same time, you want everybody else to be as wrong as you are, and you expect that to. I just think people are so extremely short sighted. Like, when it gets to this stuff, and I really wonder sometimes how much money factors into it all. Like, I'm just going to pander, give my folks what they want, so they'll keep coming back and they'll keep sharing and they'll keep liking, and my platform can keep growing so I can keep getting my money. Or how much of it is like genuinely that these types of people are just genuinely misled, and they're just strong and wrong, or is it just both? Either way though, it's very, very scary.